Now we're starting into the factoring by grouping. We're going to group these things into sets of 2 terms. So I'm going to look only at the first 2 terms, then I'm going to look only at the second 2 terms, the last 2 terms. So what I'm going to do to help me focus on this, so I'm going to put an extra line in there, a thick line, to tell me split it up. So looking at the first 2 terms, x to the third plus 4x to the second, no number here, coefficient there, I factor out a 1. Looking at my letters, my smallest exponent is x squared. Now I'm going to subtract that exponent 2 from each of these. So I subtract 2, gives me 1, subtract 2, gives me 0. So I have x to the 1 plus 4. X to the 0 is 1, don't need to write it. That part's done. Now I'm going to look at the second part here. 3, 12, both can be divided by 3. Positive, positive. I'm going to take a positive 3 out. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X, no x written there. I need to carry the x forward. Plus, divide plus, gives me plus. 12 divide 3 gives me 4. Next thing I need to figure out is, do I have the same thing inside each set of parentheses? Is this the same as that? X to the first plus 4, x plus 4. Yes, because this 1 here, we don't normally write that exponent of 1. So this is x plus 4 and x plus 4. They are the same. So I'm going to pull them out to the front. Now what I have left over outside of the parentheses, that gets its own set of parentheses now. So I have my x squared plus 3. And this is my answer. Looking at the next one, I want to break it up into 2 parts. So I want to draw a line here telling me where to split it. I have 2 terms on this side, I have 2 terms on that side. Looking at these 2 terms here, I see numbers, 16 and 28. Can I factor the same thing out of both of them? Yes. The 16 is 4 times 4. 28 is 4 times 7. So I have a 4 that I can take out of both of them. So I'm starting with that. X to the third, x to the second. I want the smaller exponent, so I'm using that x to the second. Now I need to divide. 16 divided by 4 is 4. X to the third divide by x to the 2. Use my rules for exponents, so I subtract 2 from that, gives me 1. So I do have an x left over, I have to include it. Minus, divide by positive, gives me minus. 28, divide by 4, gives me 7. X to the squared, divide by x to the squared. So I'm subtracting the 2 from there. I'm left with a 0, 0 x's. Don't need to write an x down. Moving to the other part here. Plus, divide by plus. Don't do that, right? Because we're splitting this up. That means that none of this matters when we're looking at the end there. So what I need to do now is I need to figure out what can I factor out of 12 and 21. 12 is 3 times 4. 21 is 3 times 7. So I can factor a 3 out of both of these. So I'm adding 3. Plus, divide plus is plus. 12 divide 3 is 4. X divide no x. I need to bring the x down. Minus divide plus is minus. 21 divide 3 is 7. Next thing I need to do is check to see, is the stuff in the parentheses the same as what's in the parentheses? 4x minus 7. 4x minus 7. So this stuff is the same as that. So I'm going to factor that out. What's left over goes into a separate set of parentheses. So I have the 4x squared plus 3. Now I have my answer. 4x minus 7 times 4x squared plus 3. Continuing with the next problem. I'm going to split it into 2 sets. So I'm splitting it up there. 2 terms here, 2 terms there. Ignore those 2 terms for a minute. 2x to the 3 minus x squared. I have a 2. I have an understood 1. I can factor a 2 out. Is that right? No, that's not right. Because I have the understood 1, I can't factor any number out there. I have an x to the 3rd, x squared. Smallest exponent, x squared. I can factor that out. I have 2, divide by that understood 1, have to carry the 2 down. X to the 3rd, divide by x squared, subtract the 2, gives me 1x left over, so I do need to include the x. Minus, divide positive, is minus, x squared, divide x squared, anything divide by itself is 1. Looking at the second part over here. Negative 10x plus 5. 10 and 5 can both be divided by 5. So I'm going to write a 5 down. I have an x there, no x there. I cannot write an x outside here. I have to figure out, do I want this to be plus or do I want a minus sign there? Well, if I want the same stuff in the parentheses here as I am going to have over here, I want my first term, the one with the x, I want that to be a positive number. So if I want this to be positive and it's negative up here, I have to divide out a negative there. So now I have negative divide negative is positive. 10 divide 5 is 2. X divide no x, I need to carry the x down. Plus divide minus is minus. 5 divide 5 is 1. Check to see, do I have the same thing in the parentheses? Is this the same as this? 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1, yes. I'm going to factor that out. what am I left over with? X squared minus 5. There's my answer. That is the factored form of this polynomial. One more left to do on this screen. So I'm going to split it up into two, just like I've done on all of these other ones. Look at my first two terms. 7, 21, I can factor out a 7. I'm left with x minus 21 divided by 7 is 3. Going to the last two terms, x to the third minus 2x to the second. I can factor out I can factor out an x to the second. Do I want this to be plus or minus here? I have a plus here, I have a plus there, so plus divided by plus is plus. X to the third divided by x squared, 3 minus 2 gives me an x, minus, divide plus, minus, 2 divide understood 1 is 2, x to the second divided by x to the second, something divided by itself is 1, so I'm done with that. Next, I check to see, do I have the same thing in both sets of parentheses? X minus 3, x minus 2. Not the same. So now I have to check, did I make a mistake? It happens, I'm human. I could have. So I go back, 7, 21, yeah, both can be divided by 7. 21 divided by 7. If you're not sure, reach for your calculator, type it in. It's 3. Okay, so that part in red is correct. Over here, x to the third, x to the second. I want to take out the x to the second. So I have an x left over, minus, and a 2. I have a 3 here and a 2 there. That doesn't work. There's something wrong with it. So I try rearranging. I try writing them in a different order. And I factor it again. Still doesn't work. Sometimes you're just going to get some that cannot be factored. So that is going to be my answer on this. Cannot be factored. By grouping. That's all you can do with it. It's done.